again, everyone. Gary Digit Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network. And, of course, you can hear the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network on Spreaker.com, Stitcher.com, iHeartRadio.com, and on TuneIn. So make sure you subscribe to those podcast networks and leave us a line, drop us a comment, leave us a rating, whatever you need to do. To be a part of the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. We give you great interviews, we give you great news and notes podcasts, and we also give some live Beltway boxing action right here on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. And Beltway Boxing News and Notes this week will have a lot of things going on. We had some great recaps this past week, great wins, and also we got some big events coming up this coming week. Got a special report on a new exhibit that's in the area right now. And as I do periodically, I give professional wrestling tributes, and I'm going to give a tribute to what many people, myself included, consider to be the best and the greatest Latino wrestler of all time. We'll talk more about that as we go on. Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network is brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything in between, Boxing Law on the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com, she has great weight loss tips that she has in a book that she has out on that website. She also sells great jewelry on that site as well. So please go to Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Don't forget to visit the Amazon and the Best Buy links on the Boxing on Beltway blog, boxingonbeltway.blogspot.com. And also you can always find me on Twitter at Digital25. We start this week with two great results that took place at the now Dignity Health Sports Park, formerly known as the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Nationally televised Showtime audience saw Baltimore, Maryland, Gervonta Tank Davis defend his WBA Super Featherweight Championship with a dominant performance. A first-round knockout over late sub Hugo Cuartito Perez of Mexico, and that was in front of a sold-out crowd, and of course a nationally televised Showtime audience, as we said. Now, Davis had the style from the get-go. He walked to the ring, accompanied by dancers, and they performed to Michael Jackson's Thriller, and probably the entrance was a lot longer than the fight, in all honesty. In the first round, Davis just went to work immediately. I mean, he was landing hard shots to the body, forced Ruiz into the corner, and then Davis landed a wicked right hook, and Ruiz kind of took a couple steps back, and then he fell to one knee. And Ruiz did get up, but he was in no shape to continue. Referee Jack Reese did the right thing. He stopped the contest right near the end of the first round. About 2:59 in the first round was the stoppage of the fight. So, again, you say what you want about him. I mean, I know he didn't fight Abner Mares. Hopefully he's doing well with the surgery to correct his detached retina. But be quite honest with you, Davis did what you're supposed to do. He took care of business, and he won very easily. So, Davis is now 21-0, 20 knockouts. He stopped his last 12 opponents. And 8 of those 20 knockouts that Davis had, I've seen a few of them myself live, have come in the first round. So congratulations once again to Gervonta Davis. Ruiz, by the way, falls to 39-5 with 33 KOs. So big night again for Gervonta Tank Davis, who's trying, he had problem with weight again, which is still kind of an issue in all honesty. He did make it on the second or third try. But when he's in the ring, he is very dominant and truly one of the best in the sport right now. So we'll see what happens down the road. I mean, there's some bouts. And of course, one of the things that Davis wants to do is bring a championship bout to Baltimore. And hopefully he can do that very soon. And when he does that, I'm pretty sure that this man will be on the card as well, and that's Lorenzo Truck Simpson, his gym mate out of the Upton Boxing Gym in Baltimore. He's a middleweight, and he scored a first-round knockout over Darian Chapman on that very same card at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. Darian Chapman out of Los Angeles, California. Simpson knocked down Chapman midway through the first round, and Chapman could not fully recover from the blow. Referee Sharon Sands, our old buddy, who also does bouts all the way here in D.C. She lives in California, but every now and then she comes to D.C. and will do bouts here in this area. She had no choice to stop that contest. Time of the knockout, 1 minute, 59 seconds. Simpson now 2-0, 2 KOs, and Chapman drops to 3-1 with 2 KOs. So big win, big night for the Upton Boxing Gym. And, of course, next Saturday in Philadelphia, at the Met Philadelphia, Malik Hawkins will be in action. We'll talk more about that next week. There are a number of other Beltway boxers in action this past Saturday of February 9th. Saturday, February 9th. Jamal Dyer out of Baltimore, lightweight. He won a 6-round unanimous decision over Darrell Harris of Sarasota, Florida. This is on the Ponytail Promotions, Rising Star Promotions card that took place this past Saturday at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. Dyer won the bout by scores of 59-55, 58-56, and 60-56. He's now 8-1, 5 KOs. Harris falls to 1-10-1, 1 KO. Loses to a Beltway boxer for the second straight time. He dropped a 4-round unanimous decision to Mykal in the fourth back on January 26th at the Waldorf Culture Center in Waldorf, Maryland. And apparently Darrell Harris is kind of proud of that because he posted on Facebook that he beat two guys from the same gym. They're both from the Time to Grind gym in Baltimore, Mykal in the Thirds gym. So kind of interesting that he's actually kind of proud of that, which is kind of cool. Also in that card, by the way, Washington, D.C. welterweight Lamont White. He won lost his 4-round unanimous decision to Nahir Albright of Sicklerville, New Jersey. Now, Albright did something that not too many people have done in the career. He actually knocked White down. That was in the first round, but White was able to stay in the bout. He keeps his never being knocked out streak alive, but he lost the bout by shutout across the board, 40-35. White drops now to 1-17, 1 KO, and Albright is 5-1, 1 KO. And after that contest, it was the first bout on the card. Albright went on to sing the national anthem later on in the bout prior to the main event. So that's pretty cool there. That's really nice. So tough break for Lamont White. Again, tough guy. You know, he's never been knocked down, but he very rarely wins, unfortunately. Also, on Saturday, February 8th, this is at the Dorton Arena. This is on Friday, February 8th. Friday, February 8th, at the Dorton Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. Odenton, Maryland, super welterweight Maurice Winslow III. He scored a third-round knockout over David Ricardo Perez of San Antonio, Texas. No details on that, but we do know that Winslow won. He's now 2-0. Both his wins by knockout. Perez falls to 1-16-1. So that's the recap for this past weekend. Most successful weekend for Beltway boxers. That's all we like to see. Now, this weekend, a lot of things going on this weekend. It starts actually as we record this tonight, Friday, February 15th, on Shobox, on Showtime television. Mykal the Professor Fox. He will have a 10-round bout against Shobox Ergashev, the descendant of Tamerlane, as he is known. And that'll be on tonight from the Kansas Star Casino in Mulvane, Kansas. This will be, I believe, a quadruple header on Shobox. And Mykal Fox and Shobox Ergashev will headline this bout. Both came in at 142 pounds for this contest. And the Showtime bout Shobox begins at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, there are pictures on the internet between the two. And once again, as pretty much throughout his career, Mykal Fox will have a huge height advantage over Ergashev. And the key is whether or not he can use that long reach to keep Ergashev off of him and not let him get inside. Ergashev has most of his wins by knockout. I think he's 14-0, 13 KOs. And so this will be an interesting bout to see. 10 rounds for this bout. Mykal Fox taking on Shobox Ergashev. The telecast for Shobox begins at 10 p.m. tonight, Friday, at 10 p.m. on Showtime. So best wishes to Mykal the Professor Fox. And, of course, on Saturday, the 16th, Dusty Hernandez Harrison returns to the ring, and he'll be in a 8-round bout. He's going up against a veteran by the name of Ulises El Cedillo Jimenez of, I think it's Ochimilco, Distrito Federal, Mexico. This bout scheduled for 8 rounds. Now, Hernandez Harrison has not fought since winning that 10-round unanimous decision over Thomas Lamanna back in September 2016 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He'll be fighting as a middleweight now. He's fighting as a middleweight, which I kind of figured was going to happen eventually anyway, but I was kind of hoping it would happen with some action behind it. But as it stands, that's where he is right now, the middleweight. And that should be interesting for him. So we'll see. But it'll be an 8-round bout, and it'll be at the Mountaineer Casino Ballroom in New Cumberland, West Virginia. So that's coming up Saturday, February the 16th in West Virginia. Dusty Hernandez Harrison, 30-0-1, 16 KOs, taking on Ulysses Jimenez, 23-23-1, 15 KOs. He's also lost by KO 15 times, including his last bout. Second round TKO loss to Juan Carlos Rubio back on August 31st in West Palm Beach, Florida. So best wishes to Dusty Hernandez Harrison. All right, now let's move to the amateur ranks because we have a lot of things going on, including what's going on this week at the Stranja tournament in Sofia, Bulgaria. Now, last year, if you remember, Alexander, Virginia boxers Keyshawn Davis and Troy Isley made their first appearance at the Stranja tournament. In fact, it was Keyshawn Davis's first bout of international competition. And Davis ended up winning a gold medal at the tournament. And Troy Isley won a silver last year at the Stranja tournament. Now, both of them were back in the tournament. They performed for the first time today. Davis will take on Elvin Isayev, I guess it is, of Azerbaijan. And Isley will battle Tariq Altari of Morocco. And they'll be joined this year by their gym mate from the Alexandria Boxing Club, Amelia Moore. Now, Amelia Moore has already participated in the event. She won her first contest by a 5-0 decision over Cristina Cosma of Romania. And she will turn to action today as we record this against Rebecca Nicole of Italy. Now, Amelia Moore is fighting at 132 pounds, while Keyshawn Davis is at 141 pounds, and Isley is a middleweight. So these three Alexandria boxers, they're part of a 25-member United States team. This is one of the largest delegations that the United States has sent to any international competition. Now, you can see all the bouts live streamed on usaboxing.org. The question is, when? And some of them may have gone on even as we speak, as we record this. The time difference is kind of weird. It's 7 hours, something like that. So they may be performing as we speak. So best wishes to Moore, Keyshawn Davis, and Troy Isley. And of course, much closer to home, the 2019 Washington Golden Gloves tournament begins on Saturday, February the 16th at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. And there'll be the juniors and novices competing this first day. So a lot of the juniors and novices on there. You can see the entire bout sheet on the blog, boxonbeltway.blogspot.com. But I do want to mention one particular boxer who I think makes me feel very old. There's a boxer in the novice division at 141 pounds by the name of Theodore Reed II. He's out of the Sugar Ray Leonard boxing gym. He'll be taking on Devontae Alexander of Knowledge Boxing. And if it's who I think it is, I do feel old right now. I believe his father was a really solid middleweight prospect in the Beltway by the name of Teddy Reed. And a guy who won a regional title at one point, fought for a regional title. I think he fought for a world title. I'm not sure. But if it is his son, that makes me feel very old right now. I've been in this business a long time. So hopefully it is. It'd be great to see him and see what he looks like and see if he's anywhere near what his father was like. His father was a tough cookie. I tell you, he was a good one. No question about that. So the event takes place at 7:30 p.m. at the Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. 2009 first round preliminary action of the 2019 Washington Golden Gloves tournament. Now, before we get to our wrestling tribute, I got to mention this one exhibit that's actually in the area this weekend. I've been asked a couple times to do this. I really do want to do it because it is a big history, no question about that. Now, of course, February is Black History Month, and this exhibit is very interesting, very important. It pays tribute to the first African-American heavyweight champion. If you know boxing, you know that's Jack Johnson. And the Galveston Giant, as he was known, from Galveston, Texas. He was champion from 1908 to 1915. Of course, his bout against Jim Jeffries back on July 4th, 1910 was dubbed the fight of the century. And, of course, Jack Johnson, there are not too many more polarizing boxers or any athletic figures than Jack Johnson. I mean, his flaunting of being around Caucasian women, just his braggadocious. I mean, it got to a point where after Jack Johnson ended up losing the world title, they did not want another black African-American champion until Joe Louis came along. And Joe Louis was particularly coached to be the anti-Jack Johnson, do things totally opposite to what Jack Johnson did back then. Now, there is a tour, a Jack Johnson exhibit tour, that'll feature memorabilia and also feature information about Jack Johnson. That'll be in 3 locations over this weekend. Now, still have time to record this to visit it at the Charles Houston Recreation Center in Alexandria, Virginia. That's 908 White Street, Alexandria, Virginia. That begins at 5 p.m. at the Charles Houston Recreation Center. Then on Saturday, the exhibit moves to D.C. It'll be in 2 places in Southeast. First will be the Ridge Road Community Center. That's at 830 Ridge Road in Southeast. That'll be there from starting at noon. And then the exhibit moves to the Southeast Dream Center. That's 2826 Q Street in Southeast D.C. And it'll be there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, again, if you can come by during the weekend, stop by and check out this exhibit. You can hear more. You can find out more about it by going to jackjohnsonexhibit.com. So that's the exhibit there that honors the Galveston Giant. Jack Johnson is coming this weekend to the Beltway area. And now my tribute. Finally, my tribute to one of the great wrestlers of all time, Latino wrestlers of all time. Before we do that, though, we do have to mention that another wrestler that was famous in the Worldwide Wrestling, well, actually the World Wrestling Federation, and I don't know if he was part of WWE per se, but most in the WWE area and WWE era. And that's a guy by the name of Salvatore Bellomo. Salvatore Bellomo was what they call now enhancement talent. We used to call them dish rags. We used to call them jobbers back in the day. But he was basically enhancement talent for the major stars in the World Wrestling Federation. And he fought just about everybody in the business. I mean, everybody from Roddy Piper to the I was gonna say Undertaker, but that's not true. Ken Patera, all the great wrestlers, Don Morocco, all the great wrestlers at the time. And actually, for a short time, they tried him as a heel, and that just didn't work very well. But Salvatore Bellomo passed away about a week and a half ago. But then early this week, we found out, and we do send our condolences to the Bellomo family. But the passing I really wanted to get to was perhaps the man who may have been the greatest Latino wrestling star of all time. Now, people think about Mil Mascaras, think about the Guerrero brothers and Gordy Guerrero, and of course the late Chavo Sr., Hector Mondo, the late Eddie Guerrero, and Chavo Jr. But really, I think the greatest Latino wrestler ever was a man who made Culebra Island, Puerto Rico, famous in the world of professional wrestling. His name was Pedro Morales. Now, this is a guy, and I had a chance to see him primarily during his reigns as Intercontinental Champion. We'll talk about the history in just a moment. And you think about his career. You think about when he won the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. His reign, which was pretty extensive, does not get talked about when you put it up against people like Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, and John Cena. Now, Hulk Hogan's reign gets talked about primarily because of what he did, not so much how long he held the title, although he did hold the title for a long period of time. But Pedro Morales, I think, had them beat in this respect. He may have been the most versatile professional wrestler to hold the World Heavyweight Championship at that time. He was the first WWE, I guess we can say now, WWE Triple Crown champion. And for real, really, he was the first quadruple, and still, up to my knowledge, the only quadruple champion. Because his first title in the WWF, or WWF back in those days, was won on January 7th, 1971. He won the vacant United States Heavyweight Championship when he beat Fred Blassie in the tournament. And he held that title for a grand total of a month. Because on February 8th, 1971, Pedro Morales would beat Ivan Koloff to win the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship. Now, I remember Bruno Sammartino was tired. He won the title he lost the title to Ivan Koloff. He dropped the title to Ivan Koloff at Madison Square Garden. Silence throughout the arena. When Pedro Morales beat Ivan Koloff in February of 1971 at Madison Square Garden, there was silence in the arena, they said. And so it was a very unique situation. Now, what Bruno Sammartino was to the Italian community primarily, Pedro Morales was to the Latino community. And he, like Bruno, was a first-class athlete in the way he wrestled and in the way he looked. Much like Bruno, Pedro would wear nice clothes. He'd wear nice suits and be very professional on camera. His English was kind of limited. I mean, he wasn't as fluent as maybe Sammartino was, but still, he give good interviews, and he would always say he was ready for any kind of action. That was his big catchphrase. I'm ready for any kind of action, Vince. That's what he'd say. Now, it turned out that Sammartino and Morales kind of had a rivalry. I don't know where this came from or how this came to be. It was a little before my time as a wrestling fan. But on September 30th, 1972 at Shea Stadium, Morales wrestled Sammartino, I believe it was for the title, and the bout went to a 75-minute curfew draw, which means only the city of New York stopped that bout. Okay? They could have gone on for 2 hours, probably, if they wanted to. But the curfew, and it ended a draw. It ended up being a draw. A lot of people were disappointed by that, too, by the way. It was very disappointing. But it was a tremendous bout from what I've heard. I've never really seen it. I've seen pictures of it in the wrestling magazines, but they were great against one another, and then they ended up teaming with one another many years. It wasn't, like I said, it was a rivalry. It wasn't really a hatred situation, I don't think. They didn't hate each other. It was a rare meeting of two fan favorites, and Pedro, like Bruno, never turned heel in his profession. So it was very, very cool to see that. Pedro would lose the title to Stan Stasiak in 1974. Stan the Man Stasiak would only hold the title for 9 days before he would lose it back to Sammartino. And Sammartino started his second reign. In all, Morales held the title for a little over 1,000 days. And that is the fifth longest title reign in WWE history. Watching him in the ring, there was nobody had a worse temper than Pedro Morales. He could get hot and fiery and take care of business. And he'd throw that left hand to the breadbasket. All she wrote. Incredible. So, Morales had won the U.S. title. He'd won the World Heavyweight title. In 1980, back on August 9th, 1980, Pedro Morales had formed a tag team with the then WWF heavyweight champion, Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund and Pedro Morales were a really awesome tag team. No question about that. And they would go after the World Wrestling Federation tag team champions, the Samoans. And on August 9th, 1980, at Shea Stadium, on the Showdown at Shea card that featured Bruno Sammartino's revenge bout against Larry Zbyszko in front of 41,000 people at Shea Stadium. And again, as I've said before, that took place on the same night as the Yankees game at Yankee Stadium and a Giants exhibition game, New York Giants pro football exhibition game. And they drew 41,000 people that night. And this is one of the reasons why. It was a great bout. And Bob Backlund and Pedro Morales would defeat the Samoans to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. However, Backlund was still World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. And that time, you could not hold two belts at the same time. So they had to forfeit those titles, had to give up the titles. The Samoans would actually win the titles back in the tournament. They would defeat Tony Garea and Rene Goulet in the tournament for the world titles. Then a couple years later, later on that year, 1980, Morales would win the first of his two Intercontinental Championships as he defeated Ken Patera for the Intercontinental title. And later on, he would lose the title and then win it back from Don Morocco. And that was his triple crown or quadruple crown, we want to say. So, later years, and throughout his career, I should say, Pedro Morales wrestled all over the world. He was a big star in California. I think a big star in Texas as well. He was just a big star all over. But again, he's one of the people that has not been recognized as much as some of the other people. And it really is a shame, in all honesty. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame back in 1995. Savio Vega inducted him. Again, a Puerto Rican star who had to look at Pedro Morales as one of his idols. No question about that. But he was a tremendous figure. He really was. On WWE Network recently, I had a chance to see a lot of his bouts when he won his second Intercontinental title against Don Morocco. And boy, I tell you, Morocco feuds and his feud with Morocco was fantastic. That was a beautiful feud between him and magnificent Don Morocco. Just a great feud, and Morales was really, involved. And that was really his last really great run in the WWE. He was fantastic. He really was. And again, I hate to see that he gets overlooked up until his passing about how successful he was as a wrestler. The tweets came in, Iron Sheik had great tweets about him, Ric Flair, talk about how great he was. I mean, a lot of people, he got universal respect, and people have said he was one of the few professional wrestlers that everybody liked. No one can say a bad word about Pedro Morales. No question about that. So he was a great one, and his passing is very sorrowful, and he was one of my favorites. No question about that. Really great wrestler. So to the family of Pedro Morales, we say thank you for sharing him with us, and we send our deepest condolences as well. So that will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Once again, brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips, great jewelry on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thank you for joining me, everybody. And always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.